I was bullied at school when I was younger. It wasn't all the time, but it was at those times when I'd be feeling safe, happy, confident, put my hand up in class. And the bullies would say something or do something that would instantly ruin my day. And I can remember going home in tears quite often. It felt like at times that the bullies were in every classroom, around every corner, and were doing everything they could to upset me, and it was working. It made me feel shy, isolated, depressed, and makes me look back at times and resent my school days, because they should have been the happiest days of my life, and they were, but at times they were spoilt by other people not thinking twice and thinking about how their behaviour and their attitude was affecting me. It was verbal and sometimes physical, but it was always having an impact on me, and it was always making me not very comfortable about being myself, and that was a problem.
What actually happened was, I thought, yeah, I made some friends and that, and you know, they were really cool and was just chilling and popping and that, just having a good time and all that. And then they kept on asking me for money and that. I said, yeah, I'd help them out, but they would sometimes ask very, very aggressively. And because I was autistic at the time, I didn't understand human needs and emotions and that time. So when I knew they were being a bit aggressive, I knew there was something that wasn't right about it. And so I'd actually have a chat there with my family after a bit, and they would say, yeah, you are being bullied and that. So we eventually had to deal with the whole situation that had gone on for a bit of time. So eventually I went to see one of the heads of houses or something like that. That's what it was like in secondary school. And we was in different houses. I was in one house or whatever. And we went to see him and told him what actually was going on. And, you know, they tried to rectify the situation and deal with the situation effectively and immediately.
I've always been a bit of a school nerd, and when I was in the 6th grade, which was the first year of secondary school for me, I switched schools so that I could take an advanced curriculum. And my best friend, though, her friends didn't like me very much, and they bullied me because I was in the advanced classes. And also, they bullied me because they were bullies. And one girl in particular was the ringleader, and her mom was a teacher, and we used to have lunch in her mom's classroom and watch movies. And she would lock me out sometimes. I would bang on the door, and she would tell the girls to pretend they didn't know I was there. And once she got all of them together and they went up to the boy I was dating in front of all of his friends and told him that I was dumping him and they were doing it for me. And then they told me that because I didn't have a boyfriend anymore, I was too immature to hang out with them. So I spent the rest of the year playing chess in the library at lunch.
I was bullied by a few older kids in my estate throughout childhood. It was because I was weak and vulnerable and ginger as well. That didn't really help. But I stopped actually going outside for a while. I just didn't want to go outside because they just terrified me so much, which is an awful thing, really.
When I was in primary school, I got bullied a lot for being in a wheelchair, for having curly hair, for having glasses, just really ridiculous stuff. And it was horrible. I'd get made car noises at me because of my wheelchair. I'd get people calling me fuzzy, calling me scarecrow, and just horrible names. People were telling me to, you know, slow down because I'd break the speed limit, and I laugh about it now, but at the time it was awful, it was horrible. I just felt so low in confidence about myself, and I just thought, you know, okay, I'll get to high school and everything will be better and everyone will be more mature and grow up. But then I got to high school and it was exactly the same, but just with different people, and it was worse in some ways because they were older and they didn't care about teachers telling them off or anything like that. I actually got to a point where they would start attaching stuff to my wheelchair and I actually got tied to a table once because they thought it'd be funny to tie me to a table so I couldn't leave class, which obviously isn't funny at all.
Fortunately though, the bullies were suspended for a bit, you know, for a little bit of time for what they actually did and that, and they sort of left me alone. They tried to threaten me once, but I knew, yeah, that it was just empty words, like, you know, yeah, whatever sort of thing, and just moved on from it as well. So that's how I dealt with it as well. And I knew, yeah, that it was just them just being tough and that, and I realised that I got to stand up for myself against them, and luckily I did at that particular point in that. And then after that, they left me alone after that, and I was able to get on with my own life and that, which is kind of cool.
I wound up not reporting the bullying to my school because I was very nervous that they wouldn't do anything, particularly because the girl who'd been terrorizing me was a teacher's kid. And also because my best friend hadn't stood up for me, and I thought, well, if my best friend won't stand up for me when I'm being bullied, why will a school administrator who doesn't know me do anything?
The bullying wasn't dealt with that well. I don't think the school was ready to acknowledge that bullying even existed. And they found it quite challenging. They didn't know how to deal with it, and they didn't know how to stop that culture in my school where actually bullying was okay and it wasn't okay to speak out. So the school found it hard, and therefore I didn't speak out, and I think that was a big mistake, because if I had continued to speak out, then maybe somebody would have listened and they would have helped me. But it wasn't dealt with that well, and you know, I think looking back, the school didn't know how to deal with bullying, and the staff weren't trained, so it wasn't fantastic.
I never actually dealt with it, and that's a big thing to not do, because if you don't deal with it, they're not going to go away. You should always talk to a parent or a teacher or anybody really, because yeah, they won't change until you talk to someone. I never talked to anyone, and it continued for many years.
There was one day in drama class where I kind of discovered that I really liked performing arts and that I really liked singing, and yeah, I got knocked out of class sort of for it, but I joined the drama club, and I kind of just figured, do you know what, I really like this and I'm going to do it. I don't care what these people think, and I'm going to prove to them that I'm worth more than that, because I am. And I kept doing it and I kept doing it, and it really helped bring my confidence up a lot, because I was in the same boat as these other people that were in this club. They were all doing it because they wanted to do it, not because anyone else was telling them not to. And it was at that point I was kind of like, no, do you know what, I'm going to do what I would do, and I'm going to show these guys that they can't control me and that they can't make me feel that way, because it's not right. And I did, and I went to college and I did performing arts, and I was in the top 3 of my class, which was amazing. And I went to university and did it as well, and I got a certificate for that.
Because of one of the bullies realised what he had done and that, I remember I did some freestyling one time when I was in sixth form, and I was doing some freestyle rapping and that, because I liked doing rapping and that. And amazingly though, when I was doing that, he said, yeah, you're really cool, man. And it felt like, yeah, we sort of moved on, and you know, we felt like, you know what, we moved on from it and all that. So, and we became friends after that. We just sort of realised, yeah, that hey, you know, what we did back then, or what actually happened, was a bit silly and that, and he didn't realise what he was actually doing, and he realised about his mistakes and that, and we grow up in that, and luckily though, we actually resolved the difference, which is great. So there was a happy ending towards it. And I suggest, yeah, the bottom line is, if you are being bullied, do talk to someone immediately and get some help immediately, and also to try and deal with it and realise what is actually going on in that, because some people don't realise, yeah, that about the course of their own actions and that. So that's my own advice though.
My friends often accuse me of being a lot like Hermione Granger, and so I am no stranger to bullying. But that one incident has always stuck with me just a little bit in the back of my mind, and I'm a novelist now. I write books for a living, and in all of my books there is a main character who is bullied themselves or watches their best friend get bullied and stands up to the bully and puts a stop to it. And I think I write about that because of being betrayed by my own best friend all of those years ago. And also because I think it's important to show that seeing somebody get bullied and not doing anything about it can be just as heartbreaking as being a bully yourself.
Now life is great. I see my bully in his crappy job, and that's the thing, your bully will always have a crappy job in 10, 20 years, they'll always have a bad life. The reason why they bullied you in the first place is because they're sad about their own lives and they took it out on you. There's no such thing as a happy bully. So 10, 20 years you can laugh at your bully because you're doing great in life, you've got lots of friends and you're doing very well. So happy days. Bullies are terrible people, they should go away. I'm happy.
Now I'm in an amazing place. I mean, yeah, the words do still hurt, they're not going to go away. And you do occasionally get idiots that, you know, in the street they'll shout something or they'll stare. Just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't make me any different to anybody else. And it took me a long while to realise that, you know, it shouldn't matter what you look like or who you are. But I'm in a good place and I'm really happy. And you shouldn't let bullies get to you, even if you do, that's okay. Just don't let them control your life because you're so much better than that.
The school didn't deal with it that well, so much so that I had to create a role for myself, student anti-bullying coordinator. I decided I didn't want to continue to suffer in silence or for other people to suffer in silence, so I went on a bit of a crusade, a campaign, and I raised awareness in my school of how we should be dealing with bullying and how it was important that everybody was playing a part. And that kind of became my mission in life. And because I was bullied, I felt that every school should do something because young people spend 11,000 hours of their lives in full-time education. So I went about campaigning, and now my full-time job is running a national anti-bullying programme for the Diana Awards, where we train young people and staff to tackle bullying and really get excited and make things happen, because I know that if young people are given the responsibility and a job to stop bullying, then they can change their school. So bullying affected me in a big way, but it's kind of made me who I am today, and it's given me a real purpose and a real mission in life to help others who may be going through bullying or maybe bullies themselves, because actually bullies need a lot of help as well. And I want to be somebody and continue to be somebody that supports schools and young people in preventing bullying, because we can all make a difference, and sometimes we just need a bit of encouragement or a bit of help. So I love the fact that now my job is stopping bullying and making sure that no one goes through the bullying that I suffered.